Welcome everybody to a Minecraft Cubed Symphony of Bliss bonus video. This is a behind the scenes video, and I would like to talk about the competition that is currently going on, or I guess by the time I upload this video it will be over, but nevertheless, this is the blocked out competition. It was a new one for this season. I came up with the idea for this a few weeks ago, and now that I have seen it in action, I have to say, this is probably my favorite competition that I have ever done on this server. I'm just very happy with how it has played out so far. I'm quite proud of the idea, and not to be unmodest or anything, but I think it's really good because it forces the players to interact with each other directly as they try and come up with creative ways to lock each other out, which we have certainly seen so far. I hope that the players have enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed spectating. Well, I know it has been at least a little bit rough for one of our players here. Space MC told me that he was having suicidal ideations from this competition, which I think that means I did a good job. So anyways, let's talk about the command blocks and redstone and stuff behind this one, because it's pretty simple, but I think it's pretty interesting. So there's two main components here. There's the target block, which cycles through every 30 minutes, and then there's the actual place where you put the blocks down and earn points and stuff. So let's start by talking about the target blocks, because this is the most straightforward. If you watched the prankster video I uploaded for season 11, it's pretty similar to that, where I have a redstone clock and this counter that increments every 1 second. This cycle takes about 1 second to go through. And so, by the way, it's 1800 seconds in 30 minutes, so that's why over here I have a command block that is testing to see what the score is right now. So this is when it's between 0 and 1800, and when it happens, we see that the target block becomes cobblestone, and then we have the next one is when it's between 1800 and 3600, and that changes it to the next block in the sequence, which is quartz block. And I think we can actually see here the counter going up. So counter. That's the score right now, and then a few seconds pass, it goes up a little bit, goes up, keeps going up. It keeps going up forever, because even when no players are online, because these are spawn chunks, as we can see here, well, spawn is above this, and the convenient thing about spawn chunks is that they are always loaded on a server, so that's very helpful for stuff like this. And so, we'll just keep going through. This comparator is turned on because this is the current score. That's the one that's active right now. It's between 10,800 and 12,600, and once it reaches the highest score, it will set back to 0. So it will just keep looping through forever. So that's how the target block system works, and I have this teleport command pasted here. Look at that. I was thinking ahead. So anyways, this is the second component to the competition. The more interesting part, this is where you actually place blocks down and try and score points. So when I was designing this competition, I realized that there are essentially 3 cases that I needed to handle for each player. So the 3 cases are case 1. So I'm unlocked and my rival is unlocked. So in that case, the first block that you place down on your podium should become the new lock for your opponent. So that's the base case. Second case is the case where you are locked, and so the only interesting thing that can really happen there is you can become unlocked. And then the third case, probably the most important case, is the case where you can actually earn points. So that happens when you are unlocked and your rival is locked. So let's just go through these one by one here, because it's actually pretty intuitive. So let's just think about this here. So for case 1, that's the case where both of you are unlocked. So when does that happen? When does it actually happen? So that happens when this block and this block, the 2 locks, are air. So I can actually test for that. I should probably explain how these command blocks work, just in case you're not familiar with this stuff. So these purple command blocks are called repeat command blocks, which means they're always activating over and over and over again, and they're set to always active. So these are always going off at all moments. And these are all chain command blocks, these green ones, which means they activate in this order. And they are all set to conditional, which means they only activate if the previous command block in the chain successfully activated. So what we have here is me testing to see whether the lock on your side is air, and then also testing to see if the lock on the other side is air. And if that's true, then we are in case 1. And then we have to see when you place a block down. Oops. Okay, load spectator. So how does the game know when you place a block down? So think about it. That would be when this block right here, the red block here, is not air, because that means that you've placed something down. So thankfully there exists a helpful command which we can use. Before we were using execute if, but we can use execute unless block is air, and that is the signal to the game that you've just placed a block down there. So what happens after that? We need to take that block and copy and paste it to the opponent's lock. That will become their new lock. So that's what this does. So /clone command, very useful. This takes these are the coordinates for the block that you place down, and this is the new location that we're pasting it to. And then, of course, once you place a block down, it goes away. So that's what this next thing does. It turns the block you place down back into air. And then these last two are very straightforward. It's just the message in the chat that you did it, and the podium turns red for the other person. So that's case 1. Let's talk about case 2. This is the case where you are locked. So here, of course, you can't earn any points. The only thing you can do is try and unlock yourself. So just like before, we have to figure out when this case is active. It's pretty straightforward, I think. You are locked means that this block right here is not air. It means that something is there. You have a lock. So we can once again use the execute unless command. We get on here, see that's what I did here. Execute unless, and then this next command block is using something called execute if blocks, which is something that you can use to test if blocks in one area match blocks in another, if they're the same, essentially. So what we're trying to do is make sure the block that you place down matches your lock. Because if it does match your lock, then that means, hooray, you did it! You've unlocked yourself. So that's what this is doing. It's basically testing to see if the block you place down on your podium matches the block on your lock. And of course, if that happens, then you did it. You've unlocked yourself. So that's going to set the lock to air, and it's going to set the block that you just placed down to air. And then once again, these last two are very straightforward. Just the message in the chat that you did it. You've been unlocked, and turns your podium back to green. So that's case 2. And then the last important case here is the case where you are unlocked. So, of course, for this to happen, you have to have air in your lock, and your opponent has to not have air in their lock. So we will see an execute if and an execute unless, I believe. So let's see, execute if and unless. So that means that we are officially in case 3 mode, and so just like before, we have to test to see if you place a block down, and the block that you place down has to match the target block. So once again, I'm using execute if blocks to make sure that the block that you place down, which is this one, matches the target block, which of course changes every 30 minutes. If that's true, then that means that you should earn a point. So we'll see the first we turn the block that you place down back into air, and then you earn a point. And then also it plays this little sound. Let's see if I can do that. Doot, doot. So that's the sound, the good job sound, of course. So those are the 3 cases. This last thing is just like the error message for if you put a block down and you're locked out. So it's see if I can do that. You are currently locked out. Yeah, so that's not really necessary. That was just like a quality of life thing I did. So that's really it, though. That's the main thing. All this other stuff is just the exact same thing again, but for the other side. So, because there's 2 players, they both have their own mechanics. So that's the main. That's almost everything there is to it. I mean, I can explain these other command blocks, the little power up things. So this is the thing that changes the target block. It's really simple. All it does is if you press it, it subtracts 300 from your score, and then it adds 1800 to the cycle, which will automatically change whatever the current block is, because it goes up in 1800 increments. And then the only other thing, I guess, are these mining fatigue command blocks, which I actually designed it so that you can only press these blocks if you are the player. So what it does here is it executes if score at S. So at S is the person who actually presses the command block, and they have to have the unique identifier of 3. So this is Space MC, and I actually set a unique identifier for Space MC. Let's see if I can see it here. There it is. So he's 3, and then so everybody has their own unique identifier. So you can only press this command block if you are number 3, and Space MC is the only person who has 3. So if anybody else tries to press this, nothing will happen. So you can't like go and like drain Space MC's score by just pressing this block over and over again. Not that I think anybody would do that. Everybody plays very fair, of course, all the time. So anyway, so this does the whole mining fatigue thing, and then same thing for the other side. And that's really all there is to it. So I hope you enjoyed this short little video, and until next time.